Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is a video about the Pisces new moon taking place on March 18th at 9:23 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. Star fam, welcome back. I'm excited to do another lunar update with you, this time for this beautiful Pisces new moon that is all about breakthroughs in really big, significant ways. It is going to, I think I said this like the last two eclipses as well. Like, this is going to be one for the books, but I feel this as well with this new moon where the change, the transformation, the dynamic breakthrough energy is so intense that our lives can't help but to be transformed by it, changed by it, like moved by it in some capacity. Our new moon is over here at the 28th degree of Pisces and has aspects from literally all of the major life-changing planets. That includes Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune right there next to it at the beginning of Aries, Uranus, and then as well, we've got Chiron in the mix this time. It's rare that a lunation has communication with two of these, three of these, but to have communication with all of these at the same time means that this particular lunation is meant, designed for dramatic life change. But before we get into it, couple of things. If you're new here, definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell. I would love to connect with you at the next lunar update. I am currently enrolling, if you want a spot, into Star Club. Star Club is my baby. It is a community for astro lovers, people who want to talk about the stars and what's going on in the stars and how the stars work for them. I would love for you to get monthly clarity with me to navigate 2026. Literally, like within the first 7 days of Star Club, the the new moon membership sold out. New moon memberships come with a reading with me, and those readings sold out. So I added just a couple more. If you want to get readings with me this month, April, May, they're 30-minute readings and they're 25% off what you would get on the website. Join Star Club now. Grab one of those new moon spots. If you are up for having a fishbowl style reading that's community facing, we did our first round of community facing readings just last week. Those are even more cost effective. They're $333 for 3 readings. That brings it to $111. Plus, you get all the amazing community support and content that is shared in Star Club. And if you just want to kick it with me, ask questions, pick my brain, you can do that for $22 a month. And there's so much going on in Star Club. We have a few events coming up. We just did the Saturn and Neptune in Aries for all 12 signs. That's going to be a huge impact on all of us this year. You can get it for your sun, moon, and rising. The recording's available. The full moon in Virgo lunar circle just happened last Friday. And this Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle for all 12 signs, we did that breakdown last week as well. We had our live reading day, and this Friday we've got the Pisces new moon lunar eclipse, not lunar eclipse, but new moon lunar circle. Inside of lunar circle, last lunar circle, I provided people with prompts for personal growth development, self-coaching. This lunar circle, we're actually going to do some ritual work to harness this energy so that we can direct it and apply it where we need it most in our life, especially in the back half of this year, which is going to be retrograde heavy. And then we'll have more live readings right around the time of this new moon on the 19th, just the day after. So if you want to catch a reading right as we get into this new moon, now is a good time to get in. And we'll have our first member voted live. Member voted lives are where you tell me what you want to know about. I grab a chart, I'll answer all your questions. So I hope you're able to join me for that. I would love to connect with you. Star Club is so much fun. Everyone who's in it so far has really appreciated. They've shared that they really like the check-ins, that they like the content so far. And it's really easy to join, and it's the most cost-effective way to get readings with me in 2026. Readings otherwise are full price on my website, but if you're even just a Stellium member, they're 25% off when the reading calendar is open, and I would love for you to have access that is really affordable and also community behind you to support you through this year because this year is going to be, you already know, it's going to be wild. So here we are um, with our eclipse. Before I get into it, I just want to say thank you to all of you who listen to these introductions. The introductions are really the true way that I make money. It's when you guys work with me one-on-one. I do not get paid a whole bunch from YouTube. If you happen to sit through one of the ads here for 30 seconds or longer, that is the way us creators get paid. If you do not, totally all good. But if you do that while you wash your hands, fold clothes, run to take a bio break or stretch, it does help me out a ton, and I thank you for that. And if you watch all the way until the end, that is where I'm going to do a segment called First Look, where I'm going to give you a sneak peek at the Libra full moon coming up right after this new moon and how the energy progresses from here to there so you know what to expect. And then I'm also going to tell you which signs are going to feel this new moon in Pisces the most. I do like to include a little question of the day for folks who listen to the intros and don't skip ahead because I'm just curious about some of your experiences if you're open to share. One thing I've noticed, folks have had some problems with their subscriptions to the channel. Some people have mentioned, thought I was subscribed for so long and I couldn't find you, and then I remembered you and you showed up, on my homepage, and then I listened and I looked and I saw I wasn't subscribed. I'm just curious if you've had subscription problems with the channel. If you subscribe and then found suddenly you were unsubscribed, let me know in the comments. I'd be curious. Definitely make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is on so you catch every update. New moon in Pisces, 28 degrees. This is a cardinal water new moon. We see that there's a lot of placements there in the cardinal signs, also as well as the mutable signs. There's a lot of planetary placements in both. And you see there's a lot of placements in Pisces as the water sign, the dominant water sign as well. Got one little Scorpio placement and one Cancer placement, but it is water heavy for sure. And then cardinal immutable heavy. What does this mean? What we're talking about here is that this makes this a very abnormal new moon. While it is an immutable sign and there are plenty of mutable placements, there are also many placements in the cardinal signs. Cardinal energy is the energy of initiation, new beginnings, taking action, starting over. With a mutable moon, which this new moon is, it's in the mutable sign of Pisces. This mutable energy is about bending and flexing, not starting over, but just adjusting a little bit here, a little bit there. And so this is us stepping out of our comfort zone, bending and flexing to try something new in a way that works for us. Very few fixed placements, as I mentioned. So things staying the same in this energy, especially, as I said, with this new moon in touch with all of the life-changing planets. Uh, the chance of things staying the same in our lives in any capacity, not likely. Something's going to shift. It likely already has by the time you've listened to this. And if you'd like to let me know in the comments what that is, I'd definitely be curious. For me, it was definitely a big business shift. I had to jump onto a new payment processor all of a sudden last week, and it was tears and terror, I tell you. But yeah, It's a really big time for change, especially in the wake of the eclipses that we just had. Note that this is the first activation point past the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. So themes from that eclipse may show themselves with this new moon. That plus the planetary energies that I just mentioned, they're bringing and I'm going to break these all down one by one in a moment. This portends some closings, endings, completions, leaving one level and going to the next. So if you feel some shakeups and some endings as we head into this new moon, that, new moons are supposed to be about new beginnings, and typically they are, but this one brings a lot of closure energy to it. Um, if you feel shakeups and endings as we head into this new moon, you're not alone. I'm actually from our Star Club community and family seeing a lot of that, some endings, some closures, and in my own life, some endings and closures as well, some completions. Now that I've touched on the overall energy, let's get into the nitty-gritty and the individual aspects. So here is our new moon at that 28th degree of Pisces. And it has a loose conjunction to Nessus here in Pisces as well. That's going to make us obsessed and relentless about something Piscean in nature, something that needs to happen in terms of getting to the root of an issue. It can be something that's either difficult to grasp, that's Pisces, or get our heads, hands, and hearts around. But it can also be something very spiritual or artistic, like a spiritual message or expression of music, where its form can change shape as it's coming out. And we can feel a lot of pressure to get it right, to grasp it, to communicate it, to share it, to convey it. Now, because it's a very loose conjunction, it is a more supportive energy than the star of the show, who we're going to talk about in a moment. But this loose conjunction does mean that our fingers feel held to the fire when it comes to ensuring that we use this energy productively. You may feel an internal sense of pressure to focus. And that's very normal here. We also see a conjunction to Neptune and Saturn right here in Aries on the other side of this new moon. This is one of those major influences that make this less Piscean and more cardinal, less mutable and more cardinal in nature. The Saturn-Neptune in Aries conjunction brings an element of personal change and correction to the table. Whatever happens at this new moon, I'm going to be honest, because Aries is the sign of the personal, it does feel personal in some way because of the way Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, influencing this new moon. In many cases, it's also going to feel outside of our control. Saturn brings the energy of discipline, often from outside of us. Neptune brings and boundaries. Neptune brings that energy of washing things away, having things slip through our fingers, move out of the physical and into the spiritual or immaterial realms. At one extreme, we're talking about something that may feel like full-on admonishment, scolding, correction. At the other extreme, this is gentle correction that more tightly aligns us to our next step. Either way, it may feel like change is thrust upon us, but it's not clear where it's coming from, why it's there, how things change so quickly. And that's because of our friend Uranus also speaking to this new moon. We have an exact sextile from Uranus to this new moon, and that makes Uranus the biggest star of the show. Synergy doesn't just allow for change, but it makes it almost too easy for change to access us in surprising, shocking, out of the blue kinds of ways. It can also feel like whatever change is happening, it's happening at lightning speed, or you need to move at lightning speed to keep up with it. It's almost too quick. And that can feel disorienting physically, and you may have some physical symptoms of stress, related to this change. Nervous system regulation will go a long way. Whatever it is you do to handle physical symptoms of stress. And as it comes in, I want to be honest, it's earth shaking. It's not light, it's not simple. This sort of exact energy, this is pretty dramatic. And we see Uranus in earth sign Taurus here. Okay. Across clients, Star Club members, and friends, I have heard stories of organizational coups, news from doctors, that's a shocker, jobs that go up in smoke in shocking ways, difficult interactions among family members or friends that narrow down options for a path forward, making things very clear. There's really only one direction I can go in from here, and that's up. And to get there, action is going to be required. Many of us have already made these kinds of changes in our lives with prior transit, so this is more of a checkpoint for those people around us that we're connected to keep them moving forward as well. We also may see some tense interactions show up here. Opportunities where we have to name, state, enforce, reinforce, and then enforce again our boundaries. That's something that can definitely show up here because when Uranus connects with water energy in this way, people can get a little leaky. They can sometimes want to test, stretch, override, work around boundaries. But thank goodness Saturn is here, making sure that we, do what we need to do for self-care in that capacity. And we also see here an energy that has us get clarity about where misalignment with others lies when it comes to our values or personal value and our direction, where you get this sense of like, oh, this person doesn't really see me as a person, they see me as a resource. Or, oh, this person doesn't really, they're not that invested in like having connection with me, invested in what I can do for them. Oh, okay. This is where you start to recognize, okay, it's time to make some good changes here. This isn't reciprocal. And this Uranian energy absolutely has us, like the wake-up call is upon us in some really big ways. Another interpretation with that Uranian energy is that this energy can surface subconscious material that needs to be dealt with, and it can do it suddenly. Like you just like wake up with an epiphany or have a dream that your truth is ABC and the third dimension needs to line up to match and needs to change in certain ways, or that your physical pain or mental health challenges are linked to the very same month or the very same year that you made a life-changing choice to operate out of alignment with your purpose, or you got in alignment with the wrong people, or placed yourself in a wrong location for you. And this aha moment at this new moon is trying to help us all collectively get the breakthrough we need, get back into alignment. Okay. And lastly, third interpretation here for this Uranus sextile to this new moon, it can cause things to change at the root level. Now, because Pisces deals with the subconscious and the spiritual realms, and we know all things start in the immaterial world before they are made manifest in the material world. This Uranus aspecting the new moon in Pisces means that change is happening at the root in the immaterial world. It's happening at the foundation in such a way that things cannot go back to the way that they were before this. So if you've been dealing with closed doors, stuck situations, feeling like nothing's moving in a key area of life, then you definitely want to be in Star Club for our lunar circle so that number one, you can ask more specific questions when we get to lunar circle this Friday but also the ritual work we're about to do is going to support you with tapping into this energy for breakthrough so that you can get unstuck. Okay. We also see, so backing out of the Uranian energy there and building, so it's Saturn and Neptune, it's Uranus, but then we also see a sextile to this new moon's energy from Pluto, who is conjunct to Juno there at the base of the chart. This compounds and confirms the Uranian energy's work because while Uranian energy is quantum change, Plutonian energy is change through a guaranteed ending, closure, or completion, which means, yes, a new beginning is coming, and also an ending is unavoidable. Endings aren't all bad. For some, at a new moon like this, we're talking about an ending to a very long court case that you needed to go in your favor, and it does. This can be the ending to a successful career and a step into retirement. It could be the ending to a hospital stay or other type of institutionalization. It could also be the end to things like an attachment or a financial arrangement that previously worked but no longer does, or a friendship blowout that signals the end of an era. I've heard literally all of these as we've moved through this eclipse period. And this come into this new moon in Pisces. These are real life examples from real life people. I am certain if you look around your life, you're going to see what it is for you. With this, because we have a communication from Chiron in Aries to this new moon, but also Chiron to Pluto, whenever Chiron and Pluto are in communication, especially in aspects of tension, we get grief. And this energy has been with us since July through November of 2024, with an intensification in July of 2025, with Chiron and Pluto in aspect as they are. And both of them speaking to this new moon, which is at the tail end of the last sign of the zodiac. Yeah, we get a closure and we get grief energy. This can even be repressed or tempered because of the way Saturn and Neptune are here. Neptune can have us over spiritualize it. Saturn can have us repress the grief in some way, or require us to restrain it, to dial it back, to hold it in. And that can be because something as simple as you need to work, right? We see Juno in the sign of work. We see Saturn and Neptune in the sign of ambition. Because to express it more would create problems also with the usage of your power. Like, you might explode or you might melt down, or the people around you might sanction you in a way that compromises your ability to do your job at work, or respond in ways that make your life difficult if you express it. So there is some grief here, but I want to be honest, it does look like it's in this moment delayed, latent, denied, or withheld temporarily. It doesn't stay that way, but for now it looks like it's a little like that. And this grief energy does stay with us collectively through the end of this year, just so you're aware. So you may move in and out of phases of grief. And this, I want to be honest, it is collective with Pluto in the sign that governs collectives and what knits us all together. It is collective grief at this time. For those of you that have significant placements in water signs, you may be finding that some of the grief energy is dislocated and you're picking up on the collective grief. It's not yours. And so taking the breaks that you need to spiritually protect, to emotionally ground, so that you're not just an antenna channeling roaming grief in the collective at this time, that's going to go a long way. So take the extra time you need to in your day, in your week, to facilitate that, especially if you know that you can be very sensitive to collective energies. Because Juno in Capricorn is in the mix down here with Pluto, this looks like mainly at this particular time, because let me back up. Because Pluto and Chiron are in this square, they've been in this square, and then they're going to continue to have conversations with multiple different planets, not just Juno. They're going to have conversations with Mercury, conversations with the moon, the sun, Mars, all the different personal planets. We're going to have different types of things that we are grieving as we move through this transit. However, at this new moon in Pisces, Pluto is connected to Juno mostly. And what we see with that, in both of them communicating with this new moon energy, this looks like mainly the end of some sort of working alliance, partnership in business or love, or major change to the alliance on some front. The boundaries, the structure, the agreements that govern the partnership are changing in some capacity that makes it very clear the door to what it was is now closed. That's not good. That's not bad. It's neutral. But the change is here nonetheless. You're gonna want to look to the houses where you'll see the 4th degree of Aquarius for transit Pluto and the 28th degree of Uranus for the type of change, and then the 24th degree of Aries for where and how this may be impacting you in a very personal way. And of course, if you need me to break that down in your chart, you can get one of these Star Club reading spots. There are a few left, like I said, and we can look at, this next 2-year stretch, because this energy does carry with us well into the beginning of 2027. We can look at what's closing, how to work with it constructively, so that as this is wrapping up, this closure is happening, you can also know where to look for and how to participate in your new beginning. Okay. This particular energy between Uranus and Pluto, I want to be clear. Let's just map that out. Here's Pluto, change by closures. Here's Uranus, change by quantum leap. Both of them are speaking to this new moon. This particular energy, it supersedes the Mercury retrograde. It also even supersedes the upcoming Juno retrograde, because Juno's going to retrograde while she's conjunct with Pluto. She's going to kick it off in conjunction with Pluto. Because these two will remain in aspect together for the remainder of this year as well, and even into next year, Pluto and Uranus, just like Chiron will also be locked into their little mix there. So while this big change energy is especially relevant to partnerships, alliances, connections right now, and changing those at the root and foundationally in present time, at other lunations, other areas of life may come into focus for change. Again, the point of this is to take us to that higher alignment, to our next level, to help us release that which isn't going to serve us, that which has been undermining us, whether we knew it was undermining us or not. Going back into our new moon energy here, we see a sextile to Chariklo and Vesta in Aquarius and Pisces. Here's Vesta, here's Chariklo, And this adds blessing, that's Chariklo, and dedication, that's Vesta, to whatever is wrapping up with this new moon and whatever is beginning as well as the personal dedication and focus to dive in, especially with groups and collectives. While Chariklo is in Aquarius, group work is heavily blessed and supported, even to some degree in Pisces, because of the way that Pisces governs the collective subconscious and the spiritual realms. So the more things you're doing inside of groups, the more you're going to find several things are true. Number one, you're going to be able to stabilize your frequency. You're going to be able to insulate yourself from all of the madness unfolding in the collective, and there's a lot of it. I'm sure you're aware there is a strong push to have us really focus heavily on the negatives, the things that are breaking, the systems that are coming apart. But this is precisely the medicine that the planet really needs right now for us to anchor higher levels of consciousness in the third dimension, because the old systems they were ready. It was their time. It was the end of their era. And so because the outer world is crumbling, if you can insulate yourself, and again, Aquarius, where Chariklo sits, represents small groups. It represents communities, unions, collectives, community groups. If you can join a group, it is going to allow you and help you to insulate yourself while Pluto drops into this sign and creates destabilization for the previous sign, that's Capricorn, and all the structures and institutions that Capricorn governs. Because now power, that's Pluto, is in the sign of the people, that's Aquarius, where Chariklo sits, bringing intercessional blessing to the people. This is one of the reasons why I launched Star Club when I did, because I wanted for you all to get the rich benefit of the planetary wind in your sails by being in a community. And this community has proved to be nothing but supportive, lighthearted, humorous, um, understanding, people from all different walks of life all across the world. And I'm just so humbled, honored, and blessed that you all are choosing to be a part of this community. So thank you for being there. And if you'd like to join, please do. Link is below the video. But what I'll also say is that Chariklo is about to move into Pisces with Vesta here. And this is the collective subconscious. And so doing that deeper, rich subconscious work is where you're going to find the intercessional blessing. Some of it will be with spirit guides, archangels, angels, ancestors, this sort of thing. Holy Spirit, God, the divine, Allah, whatever you call your connection to source. As Chariklo moves into Pisces, we do see that blessing expand in the collective subconscious. Okay. So I love to see that. That's something that is going to be a bit of a saving grace at this time. And then we see our new moon semi-sextile Chiron and Eris in Aries, who are still conjunct Ceres, which we talked about at the last new moon, but previously Ceres was on this side. Ceres is moving pretty quickly to get out of orb with these two. And this is the rub. This energy is having us having us in a little too close contact with our woundedness, a sense of rejection that we may feel, or abandonment, or like we're different and excluded because of that. This may be so in our face that it's difficult to overlook with the closures that are unfolding. Even if it's time, even if you initiated the closure, even if you wanted this to change, you may get in touch with deep feelings of inadequacy in the process. Like, why wasn't I good enough? Why couldn't I make it work? This sort of thing. So it's going to be important to not take this out on others or make it harder on yourself than it has to be as you move through this change. Do not overthink this or let yourself get caught in self-flagellation. It's from your high higher self to get your 3D aligned with your highest timeline disclosure, even if it's uncomfortable for you to move through right now or difficult to understand. So I want to say that again because I feel like sometimes it's so easy to miss it. Whatever's closing, whatever's ending, whatever's wrapping up and changing, no matter how you feel about it, it's happening, it's being catalyzed from your higher self to get you on a higher timeline at this time, okay? And so take some comfort in that, even if Eris and Chiron in Aries is having you feel a bit rejected, a bit let down. If that is the case, then what I'm going to encourage you to do again, even if you don't join Star Club, find some community. Find some people who can reflect your magic and majesty back to you, your divinity, your beauty, the things that are good and working about you. Find that where you can, because that's what's actually going to help you at this time see opportunities when they come in, because there's a lot of opportunities as we come into the next full moon, the Libra full moon, and as you release what needs to be let go of at this new moon in Pisces. This is our last new moon of the astrological new year. So it's like big closure, right? Last sign of the zodiac, last new moon of the astrological year, last degrees of Pisces, meeting with the divine closure and ender, that's Pluto, and the quantum leap jumper, that's Uranus. There's no way for this to not include some sort of completion, and that's good because we need to let go of the old in order to have the new. We have stepped into a season, I've been saying this collectively since last year, where we can no longer straddle the fence, where we can no longer play both and, where we can no longer stand in the middle of the street. We need to either step into our new life or be prepared to lock into the life that we had, even if it means that there are certain closures because there are certain people who couldn't continue in that life, certain structures, certain places, certain housing, certain family. It just wasn't going to work. If you're going to stay on that path, they need to go on a different path, right? So, yeah, this is a good thing, even if it's a bit challenging or tricky to navigate. Okay. So, in a moment, I'm going to talk to you about the signs who will feel this most because it's more than the usual. I'm also going to talk to you about my first impression of our Libra new moon. I'm going to pull that chart up in just a moment so we can talk about that. But for those of you who are joining me in Star Club for the lunar circle that's coming up, we're also going to talk about Mars and Mercury. Here's Mars. I used to do a segment here on YouTube called Elsewhere in the Sky. That segment is going to move. It's now inside of Star Club, and I'd love to share that with you. We see Mars and Mercury in conjunction with the North Node and Pallas there. Also, Mercury in conjunction there with Vesta, all of those in Pisces, and we see that stellium, beautiful stellium energy. We see it sextile Ceres in Taurus. Ceres is our closing and seasonal energy. We see a semi-sextile to Saturn and Venus in Aries. We also see a square to Lilith in Sagittarius. And we see a trine to Jupiter in Cancer, who, as of the time of this recording, is direct for less than 24 hours. I am so with this. I've been waiting for Jupiter to go direct, boy. Oh my gosh. Anyone who's got major Sag placements in your charts, prepare for the resurrection. It's here. Um, but yeah, this is coloring our Mercury retrograde heavily. And if you've had a lot of like interesting, unique strange, random kind of conversations, closure conversations, unusual behaviors from people. We're going to talk about why that has been inside of Star Club and break down what this energy is asking you to do with it. There's also a need to take action with this new moon, and that's emphasized by Mars in conjunction with this Mercury retrograde. We're going to talk about the kind of action that you're supposed to be taking, and how to take it so that things don't fall apart, blow up in your face, or get sabotaged. There's a specific way that this is speaking to needing to take action. And that'll be useful to anyone who's been trying to make things happen and it felt like that's been the result. Things fall apart, they blow up in my face, they get sabotaged. If that's been the result, there's a tweak to your actions that you can take during this Mercury retrograde that will make it all significantly simpler. We're also going to talk about the key messages of this Mercury retrograde and its focus. This is also in the retrograde guide. So if you've signed up for Star Club, you've got access to that. My payment systems went down last week on the very last day to get access to that. So the 27-page retrograde guide, it's crazy, it's 27 pages for 2026 is still available. I'm going to make it available until this Friday for anyone who signs up for Star Club. And you'll be able to get a breakdown of every single retrograde for this year for all of the planets, including this Mercury retrograde and the upcoming Venus retrograde later this year that makes how you handle things now in this Mercury retrograde really important because there's a linkage between the Venus retrograde when it hits to this Mercury retrograde right now. So if you want to get prepared for all of that and really get the best out of these energies, joining me in Star Club is the best way to do that because we're going to talk about that in our lunar circle this Friday. And then on the 14th, so right before this new moon in Pisces on the 18th, on the 14th, Juno enters shadow. She's the next retrograde to happen this year. Juno's going to enter shadow, and this is going to have a big impact on divine counterparts and love connections. The full, I'm going to get you tuned in and ready to work with this energy, Star Club, when we do our lunar circle for the new moon in Pisces. And as you can see, the other aspects here are playing a really big role when it comes to love and partnership, not just because of Juno, but because we see Venus here is trying to Jupiter, or sorry, square to Jupiter, and opposite the shaman's asteroid. I've got a nice T-square there as if we don't have enough going on, but also opposite Pholus, got a grand cross. When it comes to money and love, there are some very specific things that are going to go a long way to support you. Some specific actions you can take, some specific actions you cannot take to make your life a lot easier with this new moon in Pisces. And I'm going to break it down inside of Star Club. Okay. So yeah, all elsewhere in the sky, these energies are playing a really big role in our lives when it comes to love and partnership, but also money, in particular when it comes to this new moon. So if these areas of life have been a challenge for you, love, money, partnership, connection, work, then especially if as we've gotten closer to the new moon in Pisces, then join me for Star Club. We can definitely, if you get one of the reading spots, we can talk about your chart. And not only that, but we can also, in the Stellium membership, if you decide to go with Stellium, every single live that I do comes with Q&A. And so if you just want to pop in on a live reading day for Q&A, or at the Lunar Circle for Q&A, you can. During member voted live, you can just ask me questions. That's your time to pick my brain. Okay. So I would love to have you join. Link to join is below this video. I now want to, and I'll confirm we are going to do some ritual work. I provided journal prompts at that Virgo full moon, but I want to harness the lunar energy for foundational change with you guys. And the best way for us to do that is with the ritual work that I'm going to prepare you with. It's not going to take long. It's like 5 to 10 minutes, and you can do it longer if you want. It's very simple. You don't need a whole lot. If you're a member of Star Club, I posted what you need in your member area already. Let's get into our Libra full moon. This is going to be our last full moon of the astrological year. It happens on April 1st at 10:11 p.m. You're on the eastern seaboard of the United States. This is my first impression of it, my first chance looking at it. Here is our Libra full moon. Ooh, interesting. Conjunct the shaman's asteroid in the sign of partnership. We also see sextile to Lilith, square to Pholus. We also see Mercury finally direct. And okay, that's good, but it's an inconjunct, so that's a no conversation. Opposition here to the sun, of course, inconjunct. Okay, we get a square to Jupiter. Fascinating. Okay, I love it. T square, Jupiter Pholus, Shaman's asteroid, and then sextile to Lilith. You, wow, universe, you really like testing me, huh? Um, More and more as we get into the energies of 2026, 2027, even 2025, I started to notice like the energies were aspecting in such difficult ways that it was like pop quiz, K Moon. How can you describe this in the most optimistic and positive ways while still being transparent and honest about what's going on in the sky so people aren't taken by surprise? And this full moon is, what can I say? It fits the pattern. So this T-square between Jupiter Pholus and the shaman's asteroid conjunct the full moon in the sign of partnership, no less. It puts a strain on our relationships and partnerships, and not just romantic ones and business partnerships, that's Libra, but also our family ones. That's Cancer, where Jupiter sits, and our work ones, that's Capricorn, where Pholus sits. Lilith in the mix is like, just stand for your truth. You can do it. But Pholus and Jupiter in the mix have a lot of pride, a lot of ego, a lot of big feelings, and a lot of people going through a lot of things where it's like, yeah, I'm standing for my truth, but it got me in trouble, sort of energy. The good thing about this, the thing that I like about this, is that there is a lot of encouragement for just being your authentic self. As the sun is in Aries, it'll be Aries season by the time we meet again. And just being yourself is really what's going to save the day. This is what's going to allow you to, regardless of how it falls with other people, be able to walk into situations and walk away from situations knowing that you did the best that you could do. You showed up honest and true for you. You were real and authentic with yourself, which has really been the demand of Saturn and Neptune in Aries this whole time. If you watch the Saturn and Neptune update, you saw we talked about that at length. So fascinating energy. We're going to talk about it when we get closer to that date. If you heard something that resonates, please hit that like button. Thank you to everyone who watched a video for at least 30 seconds, an ad if it came on. Welcome to our new members of Star Club. I'm so grateful to have you. Can't wait to read with you if you joined as a full moon member or took one of the newly opened new moon member spots. I am thrilled to be able to work with you, and I will see you at the next lunation. Thanks all for being here. Take great care, and bye for now.